I abandoned my girlfriend because I thought she was unfaithful to me. 4 years later she married my best friend and I discovered that she never cheated on me. I had a girlfriend for 8 years until I turned 21, she was unfaithful to me on multiple occasions and even got pregnant from one of her affairs. This left me very upset. Despite everything I continued to beg her to return, and I even offered to raise the child. She said she didn't and she ended up marrying the father of her son because her parents forced her. I stopped going out, I was fired from my job because I began to decline at work, I fell into depression. My best friend, Roberto, helped me get up and get a new job. When I turned 23 I met Sienna, she was a new friend of my cousin. We met and I quickly asked her out, she accepted and over time we became a couple. I was quite toxic towards her, I wanted to know where she was all the time and with whom. Sienna refused to indulge this type of behavior because she said that if she agreed to this over time I would get worse, that I should trust her. In all other aspects our relationship was quite good. Sienna helped me go to therapy and gave me my necessary space. Sienna also understood my behavior and she helped me improve it. I began to heal and the relationship and bond became stronger. We started living together, we lasted 6 years together and they were the best years of my love life. Sienna and Roberto eventually became good friends. One Friday night I had to stay to work overtime to do some reports for the end of the quarter at that time. Sienna, Roberto, and other friends went out drinking. I got home around 12:30 and Sienna still wasn't there. I started calling her and her cell phone was off. Roberto sent me a message asking if I was already home and I answered yes. He sent me a photo of Sienna and a man naked in a bed sleeping. He texted, paraphrasing, I was looking for Sienna to bring home and I found her like this. After crying uncontrollably I took several of my things and went to my sister's apartment. I texted Sienna that she was a slut and had to get out of my apartment by Sunday and proceeded to block her. When I got to my apartment on Sunday, her things were gone. In the first few weeks she never tried to approach me to talk or apologize. It got so bad because she helped me so much to overcome the previous infidelity and she herself was unfaithful to me. I walked away and avoided anyone who talked about Sienna. My best friend supported me and said that she wasn't worth it, that it was better to realize it now and not in the future when we were married. About 3 months passed and I decided to go to another state. I got a job and a small place to stay where I could adapt. I met several women but the relationships never lasted long. I decided to stop trying to date and have romantic relationships in the medium or long term. I never had social networks. With my family we communicate by text messages or emails. We had communication with Roberto but over time it became non-existent. 6 months ago I decided to download Facebook. I found my sister and checking her friends list I found Roberto. In marital status he said married. Checked the photos of him and he married Sienna a year ago. I asked my sister about them and she said that they didn't know anything about Roberto's life since I left. They have seen him at most 10 times in these 4 years but they never started a real conversation. I wrote to one of my friends on Facebook at that time, and he did have contact with Roberto. I asked him about it and he told me that Roberto and Sienna became very close because Roberto supported Sienna after her altercation. He also called me an idiot for abandoning Sienna in her state even though she always supported me. I asked him what she was referring to, as I didn't know what she was talking about. He asked for my number and called me a few minutes later. Apparently that night they started drinking a lot, several of them left Sienna alone. After a while Roberto sent me the image, they woke up Sienna and she didn't remember anything. The guy that night took advantage of Sienna. She was very bad, especially after I kicked her out of the house. She never contacted me because she was really in a bad way. She went to therapy and when she wanted to look for me she found out that she was pregnant. Roberto supported her all the time. She ended up losing the baby. They started dating later, got married and apparently now she is pregnant. I told my friend that I didn't know anything about that I always believed that she was unfaithful to me and that Roberto never tried to correct me in that regard. I really feel terrible, mentally worn out with so much shit because I still love Sienna. Should I contact Roberto or Sienna? Comment. Well, shifting blame on Roberto is easy, but Wyop didn't even listen to his GF. He could at least give her benefits of doubt. But no, he kicked, insulted and blocked her. By the sole base of Roberto saying. Op could have just discussed with his GF. Roberto is not a saint, but Op is not a victim. He had trust issues and they sent him a naked photo of herself with someone else and the person who sent it to him was his best friend. He had trust issues from someone else than her. She was and is the person he loved and trusted enough to live with. He couldn't even just listen to her point of view and he decided to kick and insult her. Caring could believably go out the window when it's positively her with a guy both naked in a picture someone you trust sent you. The fact that the person he trusted seems to have set it all up isn't Op's fault. Y'all have the benefit of hindsight and absolutely no emotional involvement. I'm telling you, that is not how my relationship works. You ask your partner. You give them the benefit of the doubt. Obviously you're hurt, but you give your partner of 8 years more grace than that. Honestly, my first concern would probably be SA in that situation because I trust my partner. That's what I would do. Literally nothing would be an immediate deal breaker for me except physical abuse. You mean to tell me you wouldn't trust your best friend when they tell you your girlfriend cheated and had photos to prove it? Op was not a bad actor for kicking Sienna out, he had no way of knowing what actually happened. His friend manipulated him. Well, to be fair, no one reached out to anyone else. This could have been cleared up if the two in the relationship would have spoke to each other. It's not like it was a 6-month relationship. They were together 6 years. They lived together. It's ridiculous he ghosted, it's ridiculous she didn't try at all to tell him what happened. They were together for a very long time. I mean, in this whole fake situation. I don't believe any of it. This never happened. More than anything that has never happened before. You can't get her back, but at the very least you can tell Sienna about Roberto's lies. She deserves to know that her husband lied to you about her cheating to get her to be in a relationship with him. Someone close to her in her family needs to see that text that he sent you. He set her up with her abuser and painted a cheating scenario. She needs to find out from someone else that she married a monster and he's not who she think he is. Reuniting with her isn't part of the end game. It's protecting her. Next story 2. My best friend had a fight with her husband and now wants space from me. They have resolved things but I'm now on the outs. Is this friendship worth it? I am a first-time mom to an infant. An old coworker also had a baby the same time as well as being a FTM. We grew extremely close since having our babies as well as being on maternity leave. Despite not living in the same city, we would talk mostly every day, send each other memes, give each other advice, complain about sleep and just general chit-chat about life, husbands, babies. It helped both of us mentally as we were both suffering from PPD. 2 weeks ago, she had a huge blowout with her mother and husband. She has been complaining about lack of support from her husband and her mother was on her husband's side. She was broken and called me crying. Husband left the house for a few days. I was worried for her mental health. A few days after this incident, she was polite but much more short with me and eventually asked me for space. I of course respected that and did not speak to her for a week. Even then, she would post on social media quotes about her daughter but I took it as time needed to figure out her issues with her husband. We haven't spoken for a week and I touched base with her recently to check if she was okay. She said her husband is now back home and they are better. That's all well and fine but now, I don't feel emotionally safe in this friendship. This isn't the first time she's gone cold on me, last time was only for a day or two and she didn't have any reasoning, and I don't know if I'm taking it personally or being clingy, or if I am not valued in this friendship. It's important to note that after their fight, she asked me to fly to their city to stay with her with my baby to keep her company during their issues, but logistically it was too difficult / last minute and I declined. Then now we are at a complete 180 and she is avoiding me. Comment. It sounds like you have a very intense relationship. Maybe she needs to step back from that intensity to look at her marriage, figure out what she's feeling. I guess without more detail I'm struggling to understand how you are related to the fight with her husband. If she is a flaky and unreliable friend of course you should drop her. But before making any decisions, I would ask straight up, what happened and why she wanted space from you. Is she trying to purge people from her life who she's used as support when she was fighting with her husband? I'm 1000% speculating here, but maybe Op has been giving words of support and encouragement about the husband not being supportive and encouraging. And during the fight her friend could have said that she's, the friend, is right about the husband because Op agrees with her. And maybe the husband's reaction was to say that Op has no business being in their business and that he wants the friend to cut the friendship with Op in order to come back. If that makes sense. Giving her a little grace, I suspect that she is embarrassed at spilling all the details, especially now that she's back with her husband. After making him out to be a trash person, I'd be a little embarrassed that I took him back, too. She might be worried about being judged for it, too, even if those suspicions are unfounded. It does hurt when friends pull back, so I don't blame you if you don't want to deal with it. But if you want to continue the friendship, I'd just let her know I'm here if needed, and it's up to her to make the next move. Maybe it isn't about you. Maybe she's still figuring out her situation with her husband and baby. If you feel that a week is all she can take to sort through some seemingly heavy marital problems, perhaps this is not the friendship for you. It sounds like she's dealing with her life and may not be as emotionally available at the moment. I agree. It's not about you it's about the upset she has about how she's being treated. She wants to forget her conflict with her husband and mother. You remind her of this conflict. That's all there is to it. I suspect she will be relating to you again if she has occasion to be in conflict again. Why do you still want to have a friendship with someone you don't feel emotionally safe? How come that doesn't instantly end it for you? Her mental stability is questionable at best. Why do you want an unstable friend? Is your life not complicated enough? How come you aren't ending it for that reason too?